Well, what's the state of play with the name now? I mean, it's the birthday party you've been establishing overseas, but it's still the Boys Next Door sort of in subtitles here. Is that something you're going to keep, or
well, I personally would have liked to have omitted the subtitles. I don't think it's really necessary for a start, and it's just confusing and prolongs the sort of confusion.
One of the things I suppose I'd be interested in talking about is what's been released over in England. Has the single, the 3-track single which came out here on 4AD, has that been released over there?
Yeah. That was our second London single. The first one was Mr. Clarinet,
which we put out ourselves.
The way we did it was to go over there unknown, release a single entirely by ourselves, and hopefully it would incite a bit of interest, which it did. And we did a one-off record deal with 4AD, which were our terms, and that's our second one. And now we're back here to record an album. And 4AD, the same company, are very interested in it, and they seem to do a good job with the last one. So they'll probably release it unless someone.
What was the sort of interest in the singles?
The Friendcatcher single came in at number 3 in the NME alternative charts, which surprised me no end. But then again, in the Sounds charts, it came in at about number 31, which seems to be a little confusing.
Yeah, but it was the man from 4AD was very surprised at the amount it sold. All the success we had there was generally due to our records as opposed to the live thing.
The success of the Friendcatcher single, I would imagine, was largely based on John Peel playing it continuously, almost to the point of people criticising him.
The Peel shows, I'm not sure they have a massive sort of listening crowd to them, so they are a real lot of help. And anyone who generally listens to sort of new music generally listens to John Peel. I'm not sure, but
yeah, that seems to be the case. I mean, I noticed that when Small Wonder sort of decided to pretty much go out of business as a record label, they said, well, one of the reasons is if it's this unfortunate situation, if Peel doesn't play your record, it's not going to sell because no one's going to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's rather a difficult position for him to be in. But when he picks someone up and sort of champions them, well, it really does help, and it seems to have helped in you guys' case.
Yes, he was very kind.
I don't know whether he tends to kind of deliberately help the underdog, or whether, he played other Australian stuff too, I hear.
Let's talk about England. Obviously, one of the impetus for going over there is that you felt that your music would be, quite acceptable to what's going on there. And so I just wonder, when you got there, how you felt about that, how you saw yourselves fitting in.
It took about 3 months or so to. We went through a bit of a shock when we got there, and it took about 3 months or even maybe 4 to get any confidence back. Our initial performances were fairly sort of entirely unsatisfactory, but by the end of it they'd improved a lot, and we'd gotten back and into the run of things, and then we came back home, unfortunately.
Although, generally I found the groups over there live very disappointing in their performance and attitude towards sort of playing live. They were very unexciting as a whole. There was a very small few that were good.
Well, it strikes me one of the things about England is that bands don't get to play a real lot.
The thing is, yes, that they just don't want to. The English are such a lazy nation that they choose to play once every month or once every 2 months, and we were used to playing 3 times a week or at least twice a week. And I really felt like I just wasn't in the group at all most of the time, because you would spend, we played about 10 times for the whole time we were there.
But it is, at the same time, it is very difficult to get gigs there, particularly when you are... initially we had to go around to the different places, just to the venues, and say we'd like to play there, and, first of all, they'd never heard us, and secondly, we were Australian, and both of those things really worked against us. The rock gardens helped us quite a bit, and we played there, and after that got around, then we got a lot more gigs after that.
Was that basically your mode of operation? You just had to go along in front of them and say, look, this is our records and stuff?
That's what everyone does. You just have to send them a tape or a record, and if they like it, they'll put you on, basically.
Yes, except we had no one behind us. I mean, most groups who go to London from Australia have a record company behind them, and they stay in hotels and they wait for the people who are working for them to do all that sort of thing.
Or they have a tour lined up before they go, whereas
we just had to go around with a tape or a record in our hand and sort of do it in that fashion. I think the thing that helped us the most, perhaps, I'm not sure, was that groups themselves heard us, and or heard singles, or heard Peel play us and so forth, and helped us a lot in that respect. It was a matter of gaining respect from papers and so forth first, and then getting to play, as opposed to doing big gigs, which didn't really happen.
How'd you go about organising things like sound and crew and stuff like that?
Well, we didn't. We did it ourselves.
We
did
a
have
group called the Fridges, who kindly lent us their amplifiers and put them on the stage for us, and things like that, which was very nice of them.
The problem with our live performances was that there was such a long gap in between each performance that we couldn't kind of keep the thing rolling.
There's no momentum whatsoever.
And so we kind of had nerves all over again type of thing. If we had been playing twice a week, after about 2 weeks, we would have felt fine about it.
Yeah, did you have any conception of that when you went over there, or before you went over there, that that's what it was going to be like? Or
I had no conception of anything in London before I went there. I just didn't know what to expect.
Have you written much stuff over the last, since you've been away?
Well, yes and no. I personally haven't had anything to write on. I write all my songs on the piano. Live stuff, we've written, enough. I have written some other stuff for the record, but that would be played live. But it's interesting. As soon as I've gotten, it's probably not very interesting at all actually, but as soon as I've gotten back here with my old piano, I've been able to write a lot better and a lot quicker.
And what about the provinces? I mean, did you try sort of any of the other major centres as far as trying to work there?
No, not really.
It's really...
Well, the things were difficult enough. We weren't really out to make money in London. It was just to kind of make ourselves known enough so that when we came back with an album, things would be a lot easier, which I'm sure they will. I mean, we'll only be in London for about 3 months. We're leaving in 10 weeks. We'll be in London for about 3 months, hopefully. Then we're touring Europe and America. The guy from 4AD is already, he said he'll have all that underway, which, so things I hope will be a lot easier this time around.
When do you start recording on the album?
Christmas around.
We're not really sure yet. But we're doing this tour, and we're going to record the album.
Do you know sort of where you're going to record it and all that sort of stuff?
We're tossing up at the moment. Hopefully it's at Armstrong.
We have some time at Armstrong, but we're going to have to use another studio as well.
What about production and stuff? Just going to handle that? You're going to do it yourself?
Yeah. Had enough producers in Australia.
Right. Well...